Well, once again, folks, thank you so very much for tuning into the Sanjubaba show. Really appreciate that a lot. I have heard a lot of comments, concerns, and we are working on that. We'll try and answer all your questions as it comes over to me. As always promised to you, I do have another great personality this afternoon with me in the studios. A native of Pocatello, folks. After a long time, I got somebody from Pocatello who grew up in Pocatello, who did his school and college over here, and have spent almost all his life over here in Pocatello. Does visit his hometown for a little bit here and there. He just released a book of his, a gentleman who was an anthropologist by profession, then joined into the retail business, and then a ghost hunter. Quite a change from one step to the other. But the person that I'm going to talk to you and introduce you right now, I knew him for quite some time, and we spoke about this haunted history tour and the ghost hunting expedition of his, and I just didn't connect because I'm not a ghost kind of a person, you know. So I thought there might be some of you guys who might not be, but he has got a great program coming up. So based on that program and based on the great achievement that he had very recently, I would love to welcome John Bryan.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making to our studios today. Thank you so much.
It.
Really appreciate it, and congratulations on hitting such great achievements recently, and I will talk about it very soon.
Thank you.
Tell me something about John Bryan from Pocatello. You did go to Pocatello High School, right?
I did. Well, unfortunately, there's not much to say. I think I'm a pretty ordinary person. Grew up, born and raised here in Pocatello, actually third generation Pocatello from here, and started at Tendoy, went to Bonneville Elementary, most of my elementary. Then from there, Franklin, from there, Pocatello High School, and then graduated from Idaho State University.
As an anthropologist?
Graduated with degrees in anthropology and Spanish.
Why didn't you take that line that when you have showed some interest towards that profession?
Well, I loved anthropology. I spent between 4 and 5 years in Mexico doing that. Unfortunately, it's hard to make a living in it, and you're away from home, and I wanted to be here in Pocatello.
So that detoured you from your profession that you really wanted to do to become a retail person. And you have been in retail for almost about 15, 20 years of your life.
I have. Retail is a great experience. I love interacting with people. Plus, obviously here in Pocatello, there's a lot of jobs in retail.
There is.
And so you can live your life here and pretty much always have job security.
Well, that's nice to know. Well, folks, that's nice to know, I think, when he says job security in Pocatello. That's very nice. So how does an anthropologist become a retail manager or associated with retail? How do you feel? How does that not bother your life a little bit, that, you know what, I put in 4 years in college and I wanted to do this, and because of financial crisis on that area, you have chosen to take something else? Is that a little devastating, a little frustrating?
It actually wasn't too bad. That's the great thing about anthropology, is it is the study of mankind. And so anything that you do can be considered anthropology. And believe it or not, retail actually is a perfect fit for anthropology, because you're looking at the basic distribution of natural resources, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So when you're dealing with people buying the necessities, buying what they need, how does the economy work? I mean, isn't that anthropology? So, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. I enjoy it, and it's the people that I enjoy. So retail has been a fine fit for me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you've been with retail for quite some time, and then I knew that you have kept on telling me, Sanju, I'm writing a book, I'm writing a book, I'm writing a book. And I always wondered, when would that book come out? Because when somebody starts writing a book, John, it takes time. It takes a long period of time. So I believe you decided to write a book on a different experience altogether. Now you took a track towards hunting ghosts. When did that come up, and how did that come up? Who inspired you in that?
We've actually been in the let's call it the ghost hunting business.
When
for
you say
about
we, who is we?
The rest of my team, Lisa, Brett, Lisa my wife, Brett my cousin, and we have a team of about, I think we have about 15 people on our team. We've been doing that for about 7 years. And again, the ghost hunting actually is a great fit with anthropology. When I think back to my time in Mexico, when I used to deal with indigenous tribes and people of that sort, what we consider to be paranormal, ghosts, is everyday life for indigenous people. So when I came home, I began to look at the belief systems of people here in Pocatello, in Idaho, in the West, and the ghost hunting actually fit very well with that model because that's what you do. We deal with life, death, belief systems, religious systems, all of that in a nutshell. So the ghost hunting was great. It fit exactly with what I wanted to do. And
so it took birth in Mexico, not over here?
The idea? The idea started here after I was done in Mexico. My brother actually was the one that started the original group, CPO, Southeast Idaho Paranormal.
So how did it start? We just want to know how it started.
With a letter.
Okay.
He actually sent out letters to several of us saying, hey, that's back in those days, the ghost hunting phenomenon was just starting to come out. And he sent letters and said, hey, I would personally like you to start this team with me. And we did. So we.
What did John think about it?
At first, I was a little skeptical about it. I was like, not ever having done something like that. And I didn't really fully understand what we were going to do and stuff like that. But once we got into it, it was a lot of fun. We really enjoyed going into the older buildings. And then, of course, once we started capturing things that we could not explain, that is what really changed me and gave me the passion to go forward with this, and because it is definitely something that I can't explain and something new.
So now there's a passion behind this whole entire program. It was a hobby for John Bryan. You got into it and you started liking it. And today, based on that liking, folks, we have got Mr. John Bryan's first book, which got published by the History Press, which is a nationally aggregated company, publisher. And this book will be available almost in every store in almost anywhere in the country, I believe. In Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, and at the last count, it was on about 18 or 19 internet book sites. And then it is going to be carried by most major book retailers.
So the name of the book, folks, once again, is Ghosts of Pocatello. Ghosts of Pocatello. Pick it up, read it. Because when I was reading this book, in the afternoon hours, about 4:30, 5 o'clock, trust me, when I went to bed, it was a little disturbing for me because I kept on thinking about what was written over here. It was pretty scary. It was really scary. And now that you know John, you will love reading it because it just feels like you are talking to John when you're reading this book. You have spoken about some of these incidents over here that I've read. And some of them, they really sound so peculiar to me that, my gosh, things could happen like that. You have mentioned about a lady in a little Mexican restaurant downtown that she came in with a red gown, and the owners, they did personally talk to her. And then when they turned around, she was gone. How does that happen?
Well, the story of the lady in La Paloma, obviously what is today the Gate City Boxing Club, for many, many years was the La Paloma Mexican restaurant. And Vera was a personal friend of our family's. Ever since I was a little boy, I was going there. Well, once we began doing the tours, we became aware of this story of the building having an entity in it. So I personally went and interviewed Vera and talked to her, and she told me several stories, including the one that's in the book, about her experiences with this apparition of the lady in red. What's great about it is that we learned a lot about the history of the building and that area of Pocatello, more turn of the century and early, let's say, 1920s. That building originally, just like many of the other buildings on Main Street, was supposedly started out as a burlesque where women would dance and men would come. And so the idea behind the story is that this lady in red who shows up is actually some type of a madam or a burlesque girl waiting for somebody. That might explain some of the sorrow and sadness that's associated with her. The funny thing is that we have got stories from the boxers who go into that building today, and that they say that they have actually seen her now that it's a boxing club.
So did your crew get into the establishment and do some kind of a...
We did. For the tour, we went into the building.
Did you find her? Did you see her?
We had some very interesting things happen. I believe that my cousin Brett was at the front of the building, and he felt something come and touch him on his neck, something blow in his ear, and he definitely reacted to that, and we caught that on footage, and we presented that during the tour. I liked also that in that building, the experiences were almost exclusively with the males. The females did not have too much experience. They felt a little bit, but it was mainly the males that had the experiences in the building.
Huh. And most of your stories over here are focused towards the downtown area, towards the old town of Pocatello.
Yes.
So why is it only towards the old town? Have you not, did you not hear any of the stories about other parts of Pocatello, or mostly that area is the haunted area?
The main reason why I focused on the old town part of Pocatello is because the book is not meant just to be a scary read. The book is meant to...
Which was for me.
Yes, it was for you.
Yeah.
But the book is meant to preserve part of our history. You know, when you think of traditional people, they have what is known as oral tradition. We ourselves have oral tradition, which I would consider ghost stories to be part of that. So when I wrote these stories, and the ones that I chose to put in the book, they have to do with historically significant buildings. They have to do with things that people might not have known about our city or the way things were many years ago. So that's one of the reasons why these particular stories made it into the book. Because the truth is I could probably write 3 books this size with just the stories I have out of Pocatello.
So do you think it is it is a benefit for the people to know about this? Because tomorrow, if outsiders are coming in and we have seen a book like this, and we know that these buildings are haunted, do you think business potentially would grow in that kind of area?
I think so.
Why?
The one thing that I've noticed over the years since we began this is that obviously there are people out there that have concerns about, hey, is ghost hunting safe? The question I always get is, hey, don't you ever worry that you're going to get possessed or you're going to take something home with you? The answer is no. And the attitudes towards ghost hunting and spirituality from this form is actually very prevalent now in today's society. And I would attribute that to media, such as how many ghost hunting shows are on TV. The young people really, really, really like it. A lot of the older people like it. And so those types of shows are changing the opinions of the American public from Pocatello all the way, to New York, California. So these types of books are actually a great way to publicize your city, because there's a whole tourism industry out there where people will travel the United States and sometimes internationally just to visit haunted locations. I think Pocatello is a perfect city for that, given some of the different types of people that we have in our town. Pocatello should embrace what we would consider to be paranormal research or whatever, and publicize ourselves and have people come and visit that. While they're visiting, then we can tell them about our great city, our history, and what we, Pocatello has a very seedy past, but that's something that we should be proud of and say, hey, this is what makes the character of Pocatello and makes us different than maybe some of the other cities around southeast Idaho.
You know, I really appreciate that because you really brought Pocatello into the map again. And very recently, got numerous things happened in Pocatello, and Pocatello has been recognized nationwide very well. And this book coming along is adding to it. My concern was, you know, when you have books like this, and I'll tell you what happens in India, in Hinduism, as you spoke of spirituality just now. We believe that when you see a ghost or when you experience a ghost, the spirit is not rested in peace. That's why they float around. Now, is that the same belief that you have, or why do we have ghosts? Why?
Well, number one, as an anthropologist, I can't say that ghosts do exist or they do not. What I can say is that I've caught phenomenon that I am not able to explain, which leads me to believe and assume that there is something more beyond what we understand. But I love the example of what people in India believe, because the truth is that I think that the key to understanding this is a multicultural view. My idea and what my vision would be for the perfect ghost hunting team would be an international team where we have a person from the United States, a person from Latin America, a person from Asia, a person from India, and that we all get together, we go and investigate these phenomenon, and everybody brings their cultural beliefs, be it religious, be it social, be it whatever, and that we put these ideas together. Therefore, I think that we would have a more ample picture of what is the phenomenon of ghosts. Are there spirits? What exactly are they? But yes, to answer the first question, I believe that Americans would share that view that a ghost is a spirit at unrest, and that for whatever reason they were not able to continue on a journey to wherever it is that we go.
So don't you believe that while you're doing this program of yours, as you guys go and start hunting for ghosts, and as you say this, you are bothering them or disturbing them more? Would they be more horrified or more disturbing to the community or to the building, or are you trying to wake them up more?
I would actually dare
When was the
say,
last time? When was the last time you really saw one? Because some of these stories of yours, John, and as I read them. Grant saw the little boy in Pocatello High School, and he ran downstairs, and and all of a sudden he was gone. And I wish Grant was here for me to talk to him, because those are the people I would like to talk to and find out what they saw and what was the reaction.
Exactly.
You know? Have you seen one yet, or your team? You have been in night.
I have
hunting.
personally seen a full-bodied, yes.
Over here in Pocatello?
No, not here in Pocatello. It was in Bannock, Montana. To be honest, a very frightening experience. But once I began to think about it,
you tried to be friendly with him or her? Or?
Well, I think it's just a simple thing of let's be logical about it. Let's make an assumption that spirits do exist, that ghosts do exist. All that they are is us. And if you were in your house and somebody came in, depending on your personality, you might be angry, you might be happy, you might be curious, just depending on who you were as a person. And I think it's the same thing with spirits. My experience in Bannock, Montana, I believe that whatever it was upset that we were in its space. Now, we've had many, many other experiences where the spirit, the ghost, whatever it was very happy for us to be there and interacted with us in a friendly way. There have been...
You could hear the voice.
We've caught many EVPs. We've had... there are several prankster ghosts where they'll come around, they'll play games with you. We've had ghosts that are in personal anguish and wanted to share that anguish with us through messages and different ways that they communicate with us.
What time of the day do you generally start on this project?
When we do our investigations, we generally do them in the evenings, into the night. But It does. If you want to catch something, it doesn't matter. Some of the absolute best stuff we've ever caught has been in the morning, has been in the afternoon. When I saw my apparition, it was at 10 o'clock in the morning. And so
in Montana.
In Montana. There is no time out there where, okay, if you go at this time, you're going to catch something. It's, like I said, it's random. There is no pattern to it. It's just a matter of going out, looking for it, and trying to capture it.
But the establishment has to be quiet. Nobody is supposed to be there then, right? You cannot do your project.
Not necessarily. On our tours, we've had a lot of activity on our tours, and our groups are generally somewhere between, let's say, 20 and 50, depending on the night. And we've had large groups in locations, and we've had actually very strong paranormal activity occur in large groups. And so, again, I don't...
For example, when did that happen in Pocatello?
Yes.
Because you take tours every year, right?
Yes.
Just before Halloween.
Last year, on all of our tours, we've had exceptional activity happen. But just for an example, last year, and it was actually on one of the matinee tours, so it was probably 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we went into one of the buildings, and we knew we talked about the entity that was supposed to be in there.
Which building was it?
It was an Amerigo warehouse.
Okay.
And we went in to look, and actually that's in the book. We went in and we were looking at the face of the devil, which is on one of their walls. And a young girl who was with the group, suddenly her back began to burn. And when we took her outside, she had a gigantic scratch across her back. I mean, it was welted. And so we think that the entity that was supposedly angry against women and who we believe keeps the spirit of a young girl trapped, we think that he is the one that scratched her. But yet there were probably at least 35 people in that group, and it happened right in the middle of them. And
so we are for sure nobody in that group.
No, we know that it wasn't a person in the group. We know that for sure. We actually have it on film, so we captured all of that.
So what happens when things happens like that? What do you guys do? Do you call 911? Do you call the ambulance?
We don't call 911, and we try not to.
But she's been attacked.
We try not to be too upset about it. Let's just put it. In fact, in a way, luckily, the young girl, was associated with the group and what had gone on, and so she was actually kind of excited about it, because when these things happen, there's two ways of looking at it. You can freak out about it, you can be fearful, or you can look deeper into what is the occurrence and say, wow, this is a unique experience, and I am now having an experience with something beyond what is the normal.
How old was the girl?
She was 14. So it was to us, yeah, even though you don't like to be scratched, I mean, she's perfectly healthy, she's happy, nothing came of it, but now she has that experience. So just like I love to take my family traveling, we go on vacation internationally all the time, and we travel, and we go and see new and different things. This is kind of the same thing. Let's expand our mind through knowledge and experience, and what now we can go beyond just she got scratched to what was it, why, how did it happen? When we ask all those questions.
Did you do that? Did you ask those questions?
We did, and
then what?
Those were some of the story that I told, that we believed that it was probably the entity. Those were the conclusions that we came to. Now, we may be right, we may be wrong, but at this point, that's what we felt. And so, but it was a good experience. Not only we turned something that could be considered to be negative into a positive, because now she's not fearful of those things, and in the future, if it's something that she chooses to pursue and to learn more about, she's got some experience behind her.
Do you have any of the characters that you have mentioned over here who has experienced the ghosts and whose kids have? Are they still? Is anybody still alive in Pocatello, or they're all really old?
Yeah, in fact, I would say the majority of the people in this book are alive.
They are?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me the story about this little child who had a friend, and they were in a babysitting, I mean, the parents brought the kids, I think, as a babysitter.
The light.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were in the corner, and somebody in between is trying to obstruct meeting their son and the mother. I believe that's the story.
That is actually one of the best stories. The little boy ghost that's in that story, I actually had an experience where I believe that child came up and hit me in the stomach, and then he turned on a copy machine in the middle of the night, just turned on all of a sudden, started spitting out copies. But that story is a great one. I love it because I know.
You experienced that in person?
Well, I know the children.
Uh-huh.
I know the building, and I had interaction with the little boy ghost. So it's a great story. And the thing that is so interesting about it is, again, the dynamic of you have three spirits that supposedly interact, plus they're interacting with everyday people. So, and then the idea that, because the little boy did tell these children that at one time there was a light, because he was told to go into the light, and he said, I can't go in the light, the light's gone out. And the reason why he did not go into the light is because his mother told him not to go into the light. So as we get into these stories, it's almost like a detective story. Was there a mother who maybe possibly was abusive? There was something going on between the mother and the son, because the mother could not go into the light.
So why was the grandpa obstructing? Was it the father or the grandfather?
It's the angry old man is what they call him.
Who was that?
They don't really know who he is. But the idea behind the angry old man who is in the basement is that he's there to punish the mother. That's why she's on the third floor, the little boy's on the middle floor, and the grumpy old man's in the basement. And he blocks the stairs so the little boy cannot go up to the top floor to be with his mother. And his mother cries because they're not together. But he can't go up there because they're separated. But he also acts as a buffer in between the grumpy old man and the mother on the top floor, because again, the idea, when obviously these ideas and these stories are coming from these children, is that the grumpy old man is there to punish the mother for whatever she did.
So the son is still around here?
Yes, they're all still there.
The little boy who used to play, is he still around?
Yes.
Cool. I would love to talk to him sometime. These are interesting personalities that I think we need to talk to them and find out a little bit more what they have really experienced.
Yeah, and those kids, like the kids were younger when they had that. They're a little bit older now. I'd say they're probably maybe junior high age, or at least the end of elementary school. Very nice kids, very normal, but they did have this experience. So pretty neat thing. So
John Bryan from Ghosts of Pocatello, what next?
What next? We're going to try to finish out our tours. We've got a great one planned this year.
Your tour starts on?
The first day is on the 11th of October, 11th, 12th, 18th, 19th, and we added the 26th. So we're getting the tours ready.
That starts at the downtown?
You can get tickets at the Old Town Pavilion,
okay,
at the Old Town offices. And so as soon as that's done, we have several more projects planned for the winter. And the bad thing is, I mean, it's good and bad. We've got about 20 possible investigations that people want us to come and investigate, but we haven't had the time, obviously, because of all the different things. So,
well, does your wife also help you out in this program?
She does.
She does.
She is part of the group, and she helps out. Also, my cousin Brett Yost, Lisa, my wife, and myself, and we're the ones that run everything.
Excellent. Well, folks, it was very, very interesting to talk to John Bryan this afternoon. The gentleman who had started this book, The Ghosts of Pocatello. You better get it from the stores. I know it is available right now at the Idaho
Unlimited.
Idaho Unlimited.
Has it?
Yes, they have it also. So thank you very much for tuning into our show once again. Please join me next week, same time, same day at about 9:30 Sunday evening. Till then, once again, have a wonderful evening.